Hey there, we are Jess, Greg, and Maya. Together we are self-converting our 2017 Ford Transit into our tiny home on wheels. Last week you watched us cut our first hole in the van and installed 2 Max Air fans. This week we will be showing you how to install swivel seats in your Ford Transit with the brake relocator kit. Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of the van build.
This week, we're going to show you how to install swivel seats in our 2017 Ford Transit with the e-brake relocation kit. So get your notebooks out because you're about to learn something.
The first thing you need to do is remove the driver's seat.
In order to remove the driver's seat, you need to get some wiring, the support bar, and the battery box lid all out of the way. Next up, we need to disconnect the battery in order to not have an airbag light.
After you disconnect the battery, you can disconnect the driver airbag.
Then it's just a matter of 4 Torx bolts and the seat will come right out. If you have a Ford Transit with the physical emergency brake handle, then you must remove the battery box, and move the relay box out of the way, all in order to access the 3 bolts holding the e-brake to the seat frame. What you see me removing here is an accessory power port that Ford provides that is protected by a 60 amp fuse. This is in fact where we will be hooking up our positive cable for a DC to DC charger. I think we finally have everything out of the way to where we can get to start on this. Both plastic covers of the e-brake are simply held on with clips. You'll need to remove the plastic cover over the bolts and all 3 bolts holding the e-brake to the seat frame. We've got our e-brake off, and we are going to reuse this original bracket in conjunction with the lowering bracket. It's going to go onto the 3 original holes like this, and then you're going to mount it to the seat bottom with these 3 new holes, thus lowering the e-brake 2 inches or so. But the problem is this bracket's in the way, so we need to cut it right about here. But in order to remove it, we need to cut a notch to get our cable through. So I'm gonna undo these bolts and cut a notch there and get this bracket out of the way. Now that bracket is out of the way, the hard part begins. You will need to remove both of these studs off the bracket. I highly recommend you get an oscillating multi-tool for this. Mine, unfortunately, is still in the mail, so I chose to use a Dremel to remove the large part of the stud and then drill through the remaining portion of the stud in the bracket. The studs are held on by a captured nut you see me trying to remove here. I loosen the spot welds and just hit it with a hammer. Come on. Finally here you will see me drilling out the remaining portion of the stud. I first used an 1/8 inch drill bit and then moved to the step bit, which really worked well in removing that stud. Okay, I think the fun part is finally over. We got through all the drilling and everything like that, and now it's time to reassemble everything. I'm just installing them loose for now, and then I will tighten them up just to make sure everything is in alignment. Next up, I'm gonna put the remaining half of that bracket that we cut, reinstall that. There's a grommet that needs to go back in place right there, so I'm gonna fight with that.
Oh look, more studs you need to remove.
Okay, now that we've cut this stud off, I think I should have enough clearance to lower this down. You're dropping it a lot, like 2.5 inches, so everything's very tight.
The bracket we removed from underneath the e-brake protects the airbag module. Unfortunately, it is now an interference fit with the e-brake. So what you see me doing here is removing the rear portion of the bracket and only saving the portion that covers the airbag module.
This is the look of defeat.
That's why everyone else cuts it. You get to use your angle grinder.
I do. I even painted it. And that's just not happening. Yeah, it just needs lobbed off right at this line. Instead of trying to be slick like I was and just drilling out the 3 spot welds that went like that, you're really just gonna wanna cut it right from this straight part all the way back, because this is an interference with the e-brake once you get it in.
As always, paint your bare metal surfaces.
Well, it's just gonna slide right on.
Beautiful.
Boom. So we're on the underside of the van now, as you can tell. And one thing I wanted to point out is by dropping the e-brake, something you need to consider is where that e-brake line is going. It's that metal tube right there. And they have it routed going up and over the drive shaft and then down the length of the van on that side of the drive shaft. So by lowering the e-brake, this shiny spot right here used to go through the hole up there. So the e-brake used to be a lot higher and further away from the drive shaft. So I've already moved that rubber piece back up to protect the line from chafing on the hole, but I want to do something about that gap because that seems too close to me. So my plan is to take off this drive shaft hoop right here with that bolt there, and there's one up there, and move it to the other side of the line. So putting it in between the line and the drive shaft, hoping to create a bit more space. We'll see how that goes. Okay, the drive shaft hoop is out, and now what I'm going to do is attempt to force it in between the drive shaft and the line. All right, that's the finished product. And as you can see, there's way more space between the drive shaft and the e-brake line, way more space. This drive shaft is not gonna move a lot, but make sure you check it on your rig if you are installing the e-brake drop on your Transit. Next up, we're gonna start the reassembly of the fuse box and everything.
Beginning with the plastic cover that goes over the bolts, you will then need to wrestle the fuse box back into place. I then put the battery box back in place. followed by the battery.
This just vents to atmosphere. This just goes straight to a hole. I can see it goes straight to the floor. If anyone knows, drop a comment below what in the world this breather tube is for your battery. Never seen anything like that before in my life.
After test fitting the seat swivel, you'll need to mark a hole in the center to drill out so you can push through the airbag connector of the seat in the center of the battery box cover.
Our life is a comedy. The whole point is a slit so you don't have to cut a hole so big the plug has to fit in. What we're gonna end up doing, don't know if it's right or wrong, is we're gonna end up running the seat wiring harness through the pass-through that this fused wire is also going through. We're gonna run it there and down under so it can come up through the hole in our cover like this.
Before installing the driver's swivel, you'll want to install the passengers so that you are able to reconnect the battery before installing the driver's seat. Kit's gonna come with 4 of these, which will be used to attach the swivel to the base. 4 of these, which will be used with your washers and your nuts to attach your seat to the swivel.
It is really important to put the bolt up through the bottom of the seat and the nut on top. Otherwise, the nut will hit the swivel when you're trying to turn. Now that the passenger side is done, I'm going to pop back over to the driver's side, reconnect the battery, replace my battery box, and then repeat the steps I did on the passenger side, mounting the swivel to the seat base and then the seat to the swivel.
So the swivel is contacting our battery cover. I've seen people run it without them, but I would like to maintain it. So I'm just gonna cut this high rib off here with the jigsaw. Well, these swivels don't exactly fit our seat brackets. I don't know why. But in both swivels, if you're looking at the front of the van, the back left seat hole needed drilled out just one more step in order for the mold to line up. I used a step bit to do that. The final piece of the swivel seat install is to get rid of this little child, I think you use it for like a child car seat or something, which is kind of funny in a cargo van. But it's this little loop and it makes contact with the swivel. This is a few days after we installed everything else, and we waited because we've been waiting for this little multi-tool. It's like an oscillating thing. And that would have made the e-brake drop a lot easier to do. So if you're gonna do this, I recommend one of these.
Once the loop was removed, I finished up with a little filing and hit it with a coat of paint.
Just like that, we have swivel seats.
It's that easy. Swiveling them and climbing in is an accurate representation of installing them as well.
Now on to the important stuff. How much did it cost and how long did it take?
The swivels cost $897.98.
Pricey, but absolutely worth it. The install took us about 8.5 hours. If you don't have the handbrake relocator kit, it would probably take less than 2. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next Saturday when we install our subfloor.
Woohoo!
Not a 10 mil. To do that, we're gonna... I don't know what I'm saying. I'm rambling.
This
is the look of defeat.
It's what everyone else cuts it. You want a cookie?
Yeah. I even painted it.